First of all, thank you, Admiral Papp, for your service to our country, and thank you, Dr. Lubchenco, for being here before the committee. And Dr. Lubchenco, I'd like to ask you, one of my colleagues, Scott Brown, has recently in February has asked for a report from the Inspector General from the Commerce Department that raised some very serious concerns, and I want to ask you about those. And so, first of all, I want to commend my colleague Scott Brown for pursuing this issue, but then also want to ask you what you're doing about it in particular. And that is that the Commerce Inspector General reported that NOAA used the Asset Forfeiture Fund, which is, as you know, from fines taken from fishermen. And over the course of the last few years, there's been concerns raised also by the Inspector General that some of those fines have been overly punitive for things that were civil type offenses. So that's an initial concern. But that fund was actually used to purchase a $300,000 basically party boat, luxury fishing boat that doesn't have any reasonable official purpose. In fact, it's a situation where the boat has been used for trips to docksides restaurants, hamburgers and hot dog barbecues, alcohol parties, and pleasure cruises. And I have a real hard time going particularly to the fishermen, many of them who have gone out of business in some instances because of these fines, of when we hear things like this and those types of monies being misused and abused. So I guess my question to you, number one, would be, what actions have we taken? Number one, the employees who purchased and utilized this boat, have we held them accountable for their actions? And then second, what steps have you taken to correct the abuse of the Asset Forfeiture Fund, and what steps have NOAA taken? And what steps can you let us know to assure our constituents that these funds aren't being misused in a way that's obviously irresponsible? And in fact, the boat itself was purchased in violation of federal procurement laws.
Senator, thanks for the opportunity to talk about this, because it's an area that I feel very, very strongly about. I think that you may remember that when I first took this job, I heard from members of Congress as well as fishermen directly that we had some problems with our law enforcement. And because of those concerns, I went to the Inspector General and I asked him to do a review of our law enforcement program, which he did, and he uncovered a number of problems. As a result of that report, we have undertaken pretty much a top-to-bottom overhaul of our entire law enforcement program. We have new leadership in place. We've implemented new policies to ensure consistent enforcement practices nationwide. We've put in place much better accounting and oversight systems for the Asset Forfeiture Fund. And we are in the process of delivering on those new practices and policies. A subsequent investigation by the IG uncovered this purchase of the boat, which was done 2008, so before I was on board, before we did all these things. I was appalled when I heard about this. We took immediate action. The boat was initially prohibited from further use. It's currently being surplused. And we have taken a number of additional steps on top of the earlier ones. One, to establish a new review process for any vessel acquisitions, and retraining personnel to ensure compliance with the appropriate things. The Privacy Act constraint, or Privacy Act constraints preclude me from commenting on actions to individuals, so I cannot do that. I would love more than anything to be able to talk about some of the things that we have done, but that's simply not possible.
Okay.
But I can tell you this is an area that we take very, very seriously, and we have gone to extraordinary lengths to make things right.
Well, good, and I hope that you hold people accountable, and I appreciate that, and this is very important. Real